Charlie Roberson. Welcome to the Rice Pudding Project.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So I know you from way back in the day. I think I don't want to mention the years because it's going to make us both feel old. But tell the audience at home who you are and what it is you do.
I guess what I do is I'm an executive producer at Rogue, and I make commercials and music videos, and have worked in advertising and music videos and music and all the various different departments over time.
Cool.
So that's where I'm at now, and who I am is going to take a long time to answer.
It's one for the ages.
Yeah, exactly. I am. I don't know the answer to that one yet.
So music videos, commercials, films, that's all sounds really cool, really fun, really interesting. So you must have obviously gone to university and got a degree to do that.
You know that I didn't.
No, but how'd you get to becoming an executive producer? What inspired you as a child that made you think, yeah, I want to be in production?
I don't think it did. I think that you know my origin story, as it were.
Yeah,
and
of sorts.
Well, in as much as I was fortunate to have a dad that worked in advertising, and
Yeah.
I say fortunate. There were good and bad times, and I saw all the things that were associated with that,
Yeah.
the good and the bad. And I think that the bad side of it, which is the instability and all the things that come with it, were the things that made me go, I'm not attracted to this at all.
Being a freelancer.
I'm not
Because
interested.
there's no steady income.
It's not a
Yeah.
real job, It's a
Yes.
job when it's a job, but it's not you're not in gainful employment.
Yeah.
So you see those peaks and troughs, and I think that for me, it was something that came as a calling, and essentially it was the idea of talent management, really.
Okay.
And that's something that revealed itself over time, because I've tried lots of things, and I'd mentioned to you, do you know if you're a director, or why aren't you a director? And
Yeah.
I'd say, well, I think you do know it, but I think that my thing was always to be able to facilitate.
Okay.
So even when I vaguely became a music producer or a DJ, and we won't go too much into that because there's some evidence of me thinking I'm a rapper at points.
Oh, I need that.
You can't have that.
I
I know.
You were so-
Yeah. And but what I realized is the thing that I found most rewarding about any of these processes is
Yeah.
that there were people that really were talented.
Yeah.
But oftentimes people who are really talented don't necessarily have that same it's not drive. They certainly have the drive, but it's very difficult to sell yourself.
Okay.
So how is it that you can be a collaborator, a creative collaborator, and get people, point them in the right direction? I mean, in no way am I comparing myself to, even vaguely, but I read the Rick Rubin book, and I thought it was interesting. He said, Rick Rubin, the music producer, he said, it's not that I'm not really a musician. What I am is I'm able to help people tap into what it is that they do best.
Okay, that's cool, because the dude makes some amazing music over the years.
That's such a good way of putting it, because it's not that I'm particularly good at something, but hopefully I can make people feel good about what they do.
Unleashing their talents and
Right.
helping them to. Okay, cool. So you grew up in West London.
Correct.
We both did.
Yes.
We were fortunate to go to the same schools, actually. Two of the same. We went to the same primary school, same secondary school.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk much about the secondary school and stuff. So I know where you grew up, because I normally ask where you grew up. But you touched a little bit on it about not wanting to follow in your father's footsteps of being a director. But what were your biggest fears or biggest dreams when you were growing up?
I think I was always interested in the idea of entertainment, media, etc., because I've always liked the arts, and I think that you've kind of got to go towards the thing that you like first.
Yeah.
Not to kind of jump ahead, but I had a conversation once with my brother-in-law, my older sister's husband, and he said, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, well, I want to be successful. And he's like, oh, shut up. He said, no one ever said they didn't. Said no one ever. I don't want to be.
I want to be a failure in life.
So he said, I think if you can identify the thing that you really love and the thing that you're probably good at, and if you can find a way to combine those two, then you'll be on the path. Because there were things that I really loved doing that I wasn't very good at, and vice versa. So it was that thing where you get to a point and you go, well, I know what I really love. That's kind of watching TV. Basically.
So,
do you know what I mean?
yes.
I was obsessed with movies and characters and things like that. And when I say the arts, it was, I was obsessed. I watched Scarface maybe 25, 30 times, and all those films I was raised on, I was obsessed with, and I didn't realize it. But then when I realized there's a way of being involved in that and having some commentary that might feel relevant, I threw myself into it.
So like I'm the same as you. I loved films growing up, TV series is, you know, I like comedies, things like that. But I never. It took me a while to figure out that I could be part of it or work towards it. What was the trigger that, I mean, I know your pops was as a director, and your mum was a very creative woman as well. But what made you think I can go in that path? What pushed you?
I mean, it is a strange thing. Like, you know, if your dad's a mechanic, you probably think you grow up knowing a bit about cars.
Yeah, but my dad's an architect and I hate construction sites.
Now, that was it. So for me, I didn't really, even though it was a thing he did, it felt a million miles away. You know, the school we went to, the way that despite having this familiarity with this thing, I didn't really have an exposure to it in a professional sense. For me, I did media because it was the easiest thing to do. Yeah. How can I do less work? So,
media studies.
You know, I did media studies. You know what I mean? You go, oh, maybe I'll do drama as well. I can do even less work in there. So, you know, you kind of study these things. It was also the things that I didn't have a goal. And I think that's got to be the thing. That, you know, people get into these things, they're like, I want to be a DOP or I'll be a producer or I want to be any of these things. And I didn't really grasp what any of these things were. So I didn't really feel that I had a destination within the industry. It wasn't like I'm going to work towards X.
Okay.
It really was then, as I've mentioned to you, a turning point in my life where having spent time being a runner or being a camera assistant or being a assistant or all the various different things that I had basically a friend of mine gave me an opportunity to throw myself into film. Now, I'd kind of seen advertising and flirted with advertising, but I hadn't really had any exposure to film, and that was the thing that was exciting to me.
It is exciting. Films, when you hear film, everyone just thinks yes.
Yeah, I mean, I love advertising now, but you know, it's the thing.
I'll do a film any day.
There's a reason you can pay not to watch it.
Yes, skippable ads.
Right?
Yes.
I love advertising. I think it's a great medium and it's a great storytelling opportunity. But it was a chance to work in film. And
what were you doing on the film?
I was my friend's assistant. He was the star of the show, and he said, "Look, I haven't got my agent or my manager here because my manager's in London and my agent's in America. And I need somebody on hand. And I can put you up in." Pay you X amount. And I was like, wow, to be an assistant, I'm getting paid. At the time, I was driving a van. So
really? Like a transit van? Just
and my you know, I'd worked in all these running jobs, etc. But it wasn't a life for me. I didn't want to be a runner waking up at 4 a.m. and getting home at the end and feeling like a dog's body, because I didn't know what the end goal was. It wasn't like I'm working towards a thing. I'm just a full-time dog's body.
I know exactly what it was like.
And then it was my uncle, again, I try and use my family wherever I can. Because I wasn't qualified in anything. I left school with no qualifications. I didn't have a CV or a degree or anything. Really, I could say this is what I do.
Or GMVQ or A-level 7.
Nothing.
B-Tech.
Nothing.
How'd you use your uncle?
He was a wine merchant, as I mentioned. And he had a company that did trade, like, so he'd sell wine to restaurants.
Oh,
and
so that's what you're doing?
a van driver.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, do you want to work in my warehouse and you can stack the shelves and you can drive the van? And I remember thinking, this is the best job ever, because I got to be in a van all day and I was just on the move. And at the time I was going to the gym a lot, so I was lifting a lot of boxes. I thought, this is wicked. If only I got paid more than, you know, X amount, not enough. But yeah, and I was living with the partner at the time, and he said, look, man, do you want to do this? And you can kind of basically be my
entourage. If we look
correct,
at that,
exactly. And we did, and we watched Entourage in the trailer, and I was like, this for me. And then gradually over the course of the thing, he said, all right, well, if production have an issue, or my agent has an issue, or I need, you know, they talk to me.
So you started fixing things.
So then I became this sort of intermediate, and he's like, and the production got tricky, and he said, talk to Charlie. And I thought, this I can be, I can do, I can help the dialogue here. And he felt comfortable, and I liked the process because I, you know, by I think that the term is warm under the dragon's wing. You know,
under the dragon's wing.
You know, he was the you know, the one everyone was afraid of, and here he's like, oh, there you go, you can go and deal with that. And then he found it easier and blah blah blah. Are
you still friends with him now?
Yeah. I'm godfather to his son. I mean, for whatever
unofficial
that means.
I know, Okay, so he helped you get your foot in the door.
Yeah, and that film ended, and then he went, off you go.
And then what? What was next?
Yeah, well, I went back home and had to live with my mum. And I was, late 20s, and I had nowhere to go, and I had no job, and I had nowhere to go. So I had to start from the very beginning. And again, I managed to get a meeting with Duncan Heath, who runs Independent.
Yeah.
Right? And I went there, and he said, oh, so you want to be an agent? And I said, when did you last go to the theatre? I think I might have mentioned this before, but I said, I saw Spam a lot when I was 9. I don't know if you know Spam a Lot.
It's like the Monty Python spin-off.
When I was a kid, and he went, ha. And I went, no, really, that was the last time I went to the theatre. So he's like, all right, here you go. Here's a list of things to do. Go away.
Yeah.
Come back and see me in 2 weeks. So I went to the theatre on my own. I went to cinema on my own. I took notes on everything. I went and read about all the actors and everybody involved. And then he went, yeah, no, that's what it takes. Here's a list of all the agencies, as in talent agencies in London. Go find a job.
Why didn't you leverage your connections?
There's no, the connections are introductions. Nobody wants to give someone who isn't qualified to do anything a job. People will meet you for sure. But
because that's important, because people will think that you achieved what you achieved because your dad was a great director, because your mum was a very talented director, photographer, but they don't know that the person, they can get you into in the introduction, but you need to do the work afterwards.
I mean, it's a crying shame in a way. My dad's been dead nearly 10 years, so most of the success I've actually had has been, we get on way better now, though. Maybe it's a coincidence, who knows?
Well, he's helping you from the grave. I'd say that.
You learn lessons from people one way or another, don't you?
I mean, we're talking because of your pops.
Correct.
Because we connected over him, and because he helped me.
Yeah.
When I was first starting out 30 years ago, I got goosebumps talking about your pops now. Not because I was scared of him, because he was a cool, intimidating character. But yeah, I'll just give a quick shout out. And then it was like that. He helped me when I first started, when I was 14, 15 years old. I was clueless. I had no connections. And with my heritage, growing up in England, I make a joke on when I do stand-up, they used to call me Ahmed the Arab all the time, like they were always making fun of me, tell me go back to India.
I bet there was worse things.
It was worse things. It was Sand Ninja and and things like that. But he was, for me, it was weird, honestly, for a white man to take the time. He took the time, set me aside, gave me advice, spoke to the same thing, just said, go speak to this person, this person, this person. And things panned out, like he introduced me to Fragile Films, Barnaby Thompson. And because of Sid Roberson, Barnaby listened to me, or somebody did, and then they gave me a job, and the job was unpaid, getting coffees, and then working my way up to getting lunches, and then the mail. It's
one of those things where no one can do the job for you. And to some extent, I had a responsibility to myself to, if I sat there and went, it's woe is me. Precisely. Do you know what? Actually, fuck off, because there's plenty of people that I do know that didn't have opportunities and because of that have ended up. Well, I mean, obviously, people could have made better choices in their life, but it got to a point in my life where I had to leverage. Otherwise, I could easily have ended up not going anywhere. Actually, that people always say, the harder you work, the luckier you become. You make your own luck. Exactly. So, in a way, yes, it was lucky, but I could easily have fucked it up. But I'm still trying not to. Yeah, but you will, and you can still correct it. But it's like, you could have sat there and say, "Woe is me." And from our school, we know people who are supremely talented and who have made it. Some people who are supremely talented and didn't make it, they're either dead and then we just lose a bunch of losers. There is all of that, and there was a lot of people who fell by the wayside. Big time. Yeah, big time. Lots of people that had a lot of. I was talking to a mate of mine from back in the day, no names, and he told me, I've got this thing going on. And I said, man, you spent 20 years trying to get rich quick. It's a long time to try and get a quick fix. Why didn't you do something? Because you're talented. Do you know what I mean? You're smart, you're charming, all of those things. But in a way, that's one of the things, is have a goal. Because I made a plan, and I made a very specific plan when I came back to London. And I said, I was 27, I said, or just about to turn 28, and I said, I'll give myself 7 years, and I want to be an agent, right? And I'll do everything on the incremental scale to get to that point. Because if I say I want it, yeah, of course you do, right? We all want it. But what's the next thing? Yeah. What's just the thing that's just there that I can do? And I got a job as an assistant, and then in film and TV. So I was an agent's assistant. By luck, I had this list, and I called every single person. And they got up a job, and they said, "Who are you?" No. "Here's my CV," or one thing on it. Well, no. And eventually, someone said, "Oh, you come in," and I got rejected for about 15 interviews because why would you? And someone got desperate. They said, "Someone's quit.
We need someone.
Can you start on Monday?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "It's 16 grand. This is not that
A
long
year.
ago. It's not that long ago. And then I went, "Yeah, sure,"
Yeah.
because I know what it's going to get to.
Yeah.
And leverage to become an agent, and learned the ways of talking to people. I didn't know how to write emails, really.
Yeah.
I'd never had a job that
There was
required
no
email.
ChatGPT then.
There was no ChatGPT. I didn't even know what telephone manner really was.
Yeah. Yeah, bruv. What's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just relearn. What's the goal?
Okay. And what's your goal now?
That's a good question, and I've thought about that because I've kind of, to some extent, you know, you kind of set out a plan to be where you want to be, and then you get there and you kind of go, I can't appreciate it, or you can. But to be honest, I'm enjoying what I do now, and and I'm always learning more about the thing I thought I'd get to, and I probably will never get to that point where I've arrived, because the mechanism remains the same. What I want to do is to be able to work as an executive producer, a producer. You can call me whatever, so long as I can get things made.
Yeah.
So I want to get more made, and I want to get more done, and I want to find the talents that make them and tell the stories with the right people.
Okay. So ultimately, you're not going to get tired or bored of helping.
I think the passion for for connecting people, but also because you can see what it could be. You see words on the thing. You go, it could be shit. Right, can always be shit, and all you have is your taste, right? So, in a way, I'm kind of taking that thing. You put yourself out there, no one can take that away from you. Guess what? They can tell you it's shit.
Yeah,
and you're wrong. It's got quite philosophical, this, hasn't it?
It is. But like, so you're quite positive, right?
Have to be.
Yes. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because if I don't and I stop swimming, there's no one coming to save me. That's the truth. And you know what? I have, and I. There are obviously moments of doubt, and you feel doubt, and you go, and I've experienced lots of them.
And
to get to this point,
yeah.
I have been unemployed, and believe it or not, I've been on job seekers, and I've been living in council flats, and it was because of inactivity. It was because I thought I couldn't, or it was a lack of confidence or self-belief or vision, or for most of the reasons you go, people doubt themselves. But it's that, as I think I said to you earlier, it's if I repeat the line I said to you, it was in his narcissistic almost self-belief, and I have to say that is one of the things my dad had in abundance.
Self-belief.
I mean, this is the real level of reinvention. I mean, I've kind of stuck to one thing, but he always said, it's not I think I am, I think therefore I am. It's I think I am, therefore I am. In other words, if I say it, by definition it's true, and then you have to go out and do it, and the doing makes it so. So you being a director, you could say right now, if I said to you I'm a director, who's you to say I'm not? I am, because I said so, right? Now it's, even if I pick up my phone and I film this and I edit it, I have a film. De facto, I'm a director. I've directed something. Now, same with the guitar or camera or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect, I'm entirely motivated by the idea of being busy. I'm busy being busy.
Okay. Because you can be busy being busy, and that's a negative thing in certain ways. Like, people just are busy just for the hell of it. They're just
I'm
having
lazy
meetings,
as well.
meetings to having meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just remind me that line again. You were saying, I think.
It's from I think, therefore I am, but rather I think I am, therefore I am.
Okay. And who said that?
Descartes.
Nice. See, not bad education we got then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The Holland Park School wasn't that bad.
But these are all things that I think I went on a somewhat of a journey of trying to re-educate myself.
Oh, really?
Because, well, just trying to become, I think when we were kids, it was...
Yeah, because we didn't learn that in English.
Ignorance was celebrated. Certainly amongst my peers. Bad behaviour and...
In class?
In class.
Yeah. Because you disrupt the class.
It's more fun. It's more funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Why not? Because then everyone thinks you're great, and then
who's going to tell you no?
Yeah.
That was the whole thing.
Yeah. What was the journey of well, say not re-education, but education for yourself that you were saying. What did you do? Did you start?
I'm being a little bit generous.
Okay.
With that. The other thing I'd say, and as you know, your health, fitness is the number one motivator. I've been to the gym this morning, believe it or not, but if I don't go, you'll know about it, and this would be a very different conversation.
Yeah. My wife is the same. My wife has a very good way of getting me to train. She'll ask me, have you trained today? I was like, no, I haven't trained today. And then she'll ask again, have you trained today? And I'll say, no. She says, maybe you should train today. And then I know that it's my attitude. I've got tension in my voice, in my actions, the way my mannerisms. I'm short-tempered or something. You know what I mean? I'm just just annoyed about life. Yeah. But then when I've trained, the endorphins are running, and it's almost like I got no energy to be angry. You know? Yeah, that's why I have to train so much.
It's because it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, as much as you love it, the hardest bit about getting to the gym is getting there. Yeah. It's the bit before. When you're there, you're like, well, I'm here, so I bang it out, even if it's a shitty workout.
Inside, not outside. Because I can pull up to the car park and I can dilly-dally as much as you want. I'll be like, oh, shit, phone. Oh, what? Oh, no parking. Oh, this parking. Is this parking going to be okay? Like, I can leave you. I can go easily.
But you do combat.
Huh?
You do combat, and that's a different thing. I don't quite have the bottle for that.
Mine's more of a cuddling. You know, it's not like your brother. Your brother's a boxer. Yeah. Like that. What I see him doing those calisthenics when he's that's another story.
Yeah, I mean it's my fights here, and his.
But that's a harder one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Huh?
Yeah. So I'm getting way too deep.
It's okay. That's what we're here for. I think the mental battle is harder than the physical.
Yeah.
I can go through physical pain more than I can go through mental pain.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm mentally weaker than I am physically stronger or whatever, but I broke my hand, I didn't cry. But if someone tells me a bad word and I'll cry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something emotional, something with my son, you know what I mean? Yeah. It will make me cry. Yeah. You know, it's a different thing. Mentally I think it's a harder game.
Can I ask you a question?
You can.
Because I've followed your fitness journey, and I've used your fitness journey as an example to people.
Okay.
Because and I've known you, and you know you were but you were a grown man. Yeah. When I was a kid, I was like, this guy's a grown man. I mean, you were probably 18, 19, 20, whatever.
You me look old now, but yes, thank you.
I was also the same age, but I was just small.
6 years younger.
No, but I mean, but that journey, obviously, you know, you've made a transformation. There's a metamorphosis of the way that you look. How has that affected your mood in that journey, and the fact that you're doing all these positive things?
I mean, I struggle. Like, I was a fit kid, youngster. I was not obese or anything like that by any means, and I wanted to be a goalkeeper when I was a kid, and you know, I tried to do that for years and everything. And then I started putting on weight in my late 20s, and then really putting on my weight in my 30s, and then really putting on weight. You know, no. So I hit like I hit like 195 kilos, so it's like about 420 pounds. I don't know what's that in stone. I can't remember now.
It's 2.2 pounds in a kilo.
Yeah, so that's the 420, and then stones is 6.5 kilos per something.
A lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's morbidly obese. It's it's close to death. I was unhappy for a long time, like almost like the sad clown. Like I wasn't commit. I didn't commit suicide, but I was fine dying. You know what I mean? Like my actions did not promote health or life. I met my wife about just over a decade ago, through a spinning class. Got obsessed with her, and then she had a huge impact on my life, health and things like that. And I lost a lot of weight, but then we had a baby, and then COVID happened, and I changed jobs, and I went freelance, and that insecurity of not having work and COVID and it really messed me up after a while, and I put on a lot of weight again. And I got a job and I was working and everything was good, and I turned around to my wife and I said, look, I have my best friend is my son's godfather, and I said, you don't have to worry now, because if I die, you're taking care of, because you know we've got money in the stock market. He knows how to take care of it. He's promised. My best friend has promised to take care of my son. So she was like, okay, so you're a big tough guy. So yeah, so you're willing to die for your family? I'm like, yeah, anyone tries to fuck my family up, I'll kill them, and I'll die. I'll take a bullet for them. I'll stand in front of a plane, a car, train for them. So this is like 3 years ago. She's like, okay, I have that's very admirable. And she started to cry. and she said, how about you live for your family? So I broke tears. I was like, that's hard. She's like, I know, but you really want, you sit there and talk about how you didn't have a good relationship with your dad, and your dad was never around properly and stuff like that, but you really want to be that for your son. I said, I've done better for my son than my dad has. She's like, yeah, but you're going to die. You want to die after 4 or 5 years. I was like, no. She's like, so how about you live for your family? That's all right. So then I started to train. I started to watch what I eat. My mood started to change. My health, obviously got better. But it's hard, man. When you're in your 40s, you're 43, I'm 46 this year. And you sit, like you can't do your shoelaces up. Like I was saying that on there, like when you're 195 kilos, 185 kilos, first of all you wear slippers and Birkenstocks or whatever, the Crocs, whatever.
So you're saying it was really the fashion?
It was the fashion, but to put on shoelaces, like you literally grab your trousers, your shirt by the bottom of the trousers, lift up onto your knee,
Yikes.
and you do it with shoelaces because you can't. It's just because turning down, not that you're going to fall over, it's because the pressure on you can't breathe. You can't do many things. So my routine with my son used to be on a Sunday. It's Daddy Day. Sunday's a Daddy's Day. So rather than going to the park, it would just be me just watching him eat something or play somewhere, and I just sit there because I can't run after him because the fucker climbs everywhere, bikes and things like that. So I started to change my life. So then when I started to lose weight, now I can follow him. I can go to the park with him. I can go to the water park. I can go to the beach. I'm not embarrassed to take my top off. I've got a bit of a belly. It's okay, but I'm jacked now. Like I'm training. I'm training 4 or 5 times a week in the gym. I'm doing jiu-jitsu 8 times a week. And that's it. And it changed my mood.
Fucking life come at me.
So life knocked me down.
You going back at it though.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have her, because I never understood what happiness was. I thought happiness was, I was in London, man. I'd have a cash like this. I'd drive a BMW 325 done up like an M3. I thought that's what happiness was. I thought material things were happiness. I have a nice car now. I have nice things now. But those things are immaterial compared to what the joy and happiness I've had from her and from my son. And now I just realized what happiness is. And I realized what love is. And all those years I realized I never loved myself. Because for whatever reason, but I realized that it wasn't. I told my daughter actually like a week ago I called her, I think, and I was crying from happiness because I was into a song and it moved me, and I was like, I just want to tell you I love you, and I said, I think I've been lying to you these last 7-8 years, because when I told you I loved you, I didn't really love you as I didn't really know what love is, because now that I love myself, I really understand that now I love you more than I did then. Now this is real love. So then it was a bit fake. Now is real love. Now I really love you because I love myself, and I can look at myself in the mirror and say I love myself, and that's it. And now I love my wife properly. Before it was like, because how can you?
But isn't that a journey of learning to love and adjusting those goalposts? Because there's going to be moments of, not saying in your relationship, but those moments of doubt in yourself. To love yourself and going, well, fucking what path, one way or the other? Those moments that come along, is there? Sorry to divert from the point, but I'm saying, do you think that the exercise is a consistency that allows you to pin the other parts of your life and put them in the places that they deserve to be, rather than allowing, for example, some people define themselves by their relationship, which is such a moving goalpost, right? You're kind of like, I'm happy because she's happy, right?
Yeah.
Rather, I know I've got this thing that I can keep myself happy with. Now I can give all the other stuff to all the other things, but have that spine of, it's kind of a control thing.
It is. I mean, I was like that. I was like, I'm happy because my family's happy and they're provided for, But now I'm able to find happiness in different things, whether it's a piece of music, whether it's TV, whether it's writing a poem, exercise, And then I can understand those things make me happy, and I can find happiness and joy. And together I went to a woodworking class with my wife and my son on the weekend.
Wicked.
And never in my life would I have thought we were going to just be doing, and just to see him building like a little koala out of wood, I was amazed. I looked at my fucking airplane, I was like, that looks like shit. What, like how he was sanding away and stuff like that, and I was like, and he was like, oh, you like, and my wife made an elephant and it was amazing, and I was like, I'm supposed to be the creative one, and he's just 5 years old, and she's a personal trainer, and she's doing like this amazing stuff. And then the guy comes over, like he walked over to my son, the instructor. He's like, "You've got natural talent." looked at me, walked over to my wife, and he was like, "You've done this before." And I'm waiting. I'm like,
look at my show reel.
and I was like, hello,
Yeah.
hello. Like, and then he was like, and he's like, "Did you say your dad was an architect and you've been on construction sites since the age of 5? And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Ah,
You skipped a generation.
you didn't fucking learn anything, did you?" So yeah, I mean, yeah, the fitness journey has been great, for me, and I'm glad that other people. I'm very happy to hear that it's helping other people, because it is rough and you suffer shit tons, and you don't wish. I don't have enemies, and I don't wish that kind of stuff on anyone, because it's. There were times when I used to go to sleep a few years ago, when I was resigned to the fact that I might not wake up the next day. Like, I was like, if you don't, you might not wake up. So I would message people, not saying like, "Oh, these are my farewell wells," or anything like that. I was like, "Remember, you said you're going to take care of my kid, right?" And they're like, yeah, of course. They're like, "Why are you saying that?" I'm like, "Can I just like that?" Because you would know. So then I would stay up as late as possible, so I wouldn't sleep, and then not sleep in my bed, because I wouldn't have to wait for my wife to wake up, and I was dead next to her, because I wouldn't know if I was gonna. It was weird. It was weird. And you've flipped the script and started talking to me about things that we were not supposed to talk about. Cause,
Well, that's fine. You can edit it out.
People,
I tell you what,
people have signed in, listening to me being all sad and depressed, thinking that they're going to get stock tips. That's what this is.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? I think something that we touched on is like the conversations and something that was, men's mental health, all of the things that are taken for granted as conversations which people don't have those conversations. I think having that conversation is, people particularly. Okay, I mean, what do I know? I've been here for 5 minutes, but there's a certain kind of podcast machismo that is associated with, a certain identity that I think has become, and I understand why it exists, but that has become, this is what men talking about men's thing is, and actually having conversations candidly, and you can say, yeah, it's success or any of the things that we achieve, it comes not in a linear path, does it? No. It comes with all the shit bits. You get to the good bits. The sad bits make the happy bit. It's not like, oh, I will. I'm not quoting anybody in particular, because that's not what I'm trying to vilify any point of view. But the other conversations are a good thing. So to have that conversation that we just had, do you know what? It's not. It feels like a lonely road, but it's one that we all share.
I think the more people talk about the struggles, the more they realize, fuck me, I went through.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, so he didn't have a great relationship with his dad or his mum. There's different things. You know what I mean? Oh, he struggled with food, or she struggled with food. Like, we don't realize what the other person was going through. You know what I mean?
This is a really laugh a second, isn't it?
It's so fantastic. And I'm supposed to be a stand-up comedian in my spare time as well. So it's really. But yeah, I mean, how many times you see a rainbow? You only see the rainbow really after the rain, right? So you have to go through that, and then, when it's hot as fuck outside and you're dying for some rain, and then you appreciate the rain. It's ups and downs. Life has ebbs and flows, and it's how you take them.
If you frame it with my rice pudding rather than me banging on about my old man, then
I had no idea, by the way.
Context, huh?
I had no idea.
What?
That you and your old man didn't get along.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can talk about that.
You know what? I think you'll probably find out eventually, won't you? That dads and sons have a particular dynamic.
Bruv.
You know what I mean? And I remember my dad said to me, he said, when you're going to get to about 14, 15, you'll think I'm a cunt. And I thought, I'll never. You know what I mean? I thought he was Terminator. I thought he was like action hero.
He was.
And then maybe it wasn't that he was a cunt. Maybe it was that I was a cunt. And then we had to get through that thing. So, do you know what? In a strange way, I'm able to reconcile all the differences. And it's not that I've got rose-tinted glasses, but the lessons learned, which are hard lessons, I think are necessary, and lots of the things that I resented him for, in the long run, I'm not saying it was necessary, but in order for me to be the person I am now, tragically, I think to some extent,
you wouldn't be the person you are now
without the loss, because I couldn't have possibly, somebody who has that type of a personality, and you know how he was, he was a lot, is. It comes with the bullshit as well. It's difficult. So I think I do kind of look at it in quite philosophical terms, because People are cunts, you know, one way or the
That's
other.
a perfect intro. We're going in. People are cunts.
I mean, that's okay. You know, if you manage to get through it, if you manage to get through life not being a cunt, I mean, you
It's
must have
impossible.
spent time, yeah. Even if it's yourself calling you that, you know, it's fine. It's not, it's okay.
But you will be at some time. At one point or
Yeah.
another, at one point in time, someone is going to think you are.
Yeah. I was
Okay.
going to just say one thing that
Yeah.
there was one thing that my lovely partner always says.
Yeah.
And she says it flippantly, and sometimes I get really angry about something or whatever, and she goes, "That's okay." And you know what? And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "That's okay." And I'm like, "Do you know what?" I say it to myself often when I get pissed off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay, because you know what? It probably is. Do
Where's
you know
your
what?
missus from?
She's Canadian.
Is she?
Yeah.
Dentists.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they got access to drugs. That's
Yeah.
the fucking thing. What was the most memorable moment of your professional career?
I couldn't pin down a particular moment. I've had some really good moments throughout the growth of my career, and they've been the incremental steps. And you know, those moments where you get there and you go, for example, you know, I signed a particular director, and you go, that was the win I was waiting for. And you get there and you think, that was it, that was the moment. And then you go, no, I worked for that and I got there. And I've had, you know, there's countless times when I've just doubted myself and all the rest of it. But I think all the little wins, they add up.
Okay.
And you know, I don't know, again, I'm not giving you an answer here really, but there's been
Sorry.
lots of little wins.
All right. So, you know, your dad was in the business, and your mum was in the business as
Yes.
well. What did your mum think about you? What advice did she give you about getting into the field?
My relationship with my mum is, my mum's, you know, she had me when she was quite young. She was like 23. She had 3 kids by the time she was 30. And, you know, I feel like we've grown up together in a weird way.
She's a super cool woman.
Yeah, she's wicked.
Yeah.
And I think my mum gives me a lot of freedom to make mistakes, and and the advice that she gives, she might, you know, she'll tell me off, but she doesn't really tell me what to do, but she will give me that encouragement. You know, she doesn't have a lot of judgment, my mum. And then I never really, I mean, my family's quite tough, and
Yeah.
like my uncle said to my dad about advice, he said, the thing about advice, if you ask someone, they might just give it to you. Right? And that's the thing, you know, whatever someone's advice is, you're gonna turn around and go, yeah, but, and they'll probably do something else anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we were quite like it wasn't lots of guidance being told you should do this. It was by example.
So, you help a lot of people, and you get to travel with your work.
Yeah.
But what do you currently love and enjoy about your life, besides work?
I mean, to be honest with you, my partner, you know, she's like,
Very good answer.
well, that's the truth. Do you know what?
Smart.
A lot of my main growing up is having someone like her who is grown up and interested in so many things, right? You know, I've lived in London all my life, but you know, do I go and do, you know, you live in London, you're like, you don't go to museums, or have you been to this place? You're like, nah, man, not really.
Besides school trips, we've never been to Natural History Museum. Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? I don't do stuff.
Okay.
And she does stuff. She like listens to jazz. We went to a jazz concert the other day.
Okay.
We go and see, you know, string quartets and do things. She's a doer. She likes to go and, I mean, I guess if you're a dentist, you better do stuff, right?
Started off well, and then you just
no. But she's very
I can't imagine
interested.
you in watching a string quartet.
Yeah, because you sit there and you go, and she goes, you love it, right? She's so enthusiastic about everything. And I'm like, yeah,
And?
I guess so. And you know what? And then you come away from and you go, oh, I'm glad I did that. So it's doing things.
Glad you did it, or glad it's over? I got through it.
No, because it's a resistance. I think I've always had a bit of a resistance of sort of intellectual pursuits in some way.
Okay.
Despite success, certainly my dad didn't come from an educated background. So
Where did he come from, by the way?
He was from Tottenham.
Okay.
He was from Tottenham, and didn't have an education until he was 65. He went to university.
Come again?
Yeah, he went to university at 65.
Serious?
Yeah, he got a degree.
So there's hope for us.
Yeah, but
What did he get a degree in?
I was resistant to it, and I think in a way it was sort of like, this ain't for me.
What,
kind
university?
University. I didn't feel like it was for me. I didn't feel like certain things which you'd expect me to, whether it's like jazz. Oh, it's a bit fucking, it's a bit fucking up its own arse, innit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I work in advertising. You know what I mean? Come on, mate. Are you kidding? Go and enjoy stuff. And I think that the desire to enjoy stuff is does make me happy.
So what else has your missus got you to experience that you didn't think you were gonna enjoy?
No comment.
No, always one. What? So, what museums and art galleries did your
we literally last week we saw. I'm gonna see if I can remember the name. Brantford Marsalis.
I have no idea.
Yeah, again, this is showing why. But we went to the Barbican Centre and watched, watched a jazz rendition, I guess, or whatever.
Okay.
This was just a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And it's things like that which I'd never do, and so that's the latest thing. But generally speaking, even basic stuff, I never thought I'd have a cat, right? Just listen, hear me out. I thought I'm a dog guy, right?
100%.
I had a Staffy. That's me. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she loved cats. I was like, dream on. Anyway, I got her a cat for her birthday, and now this 4 years ago, this guy's like my fucking best mate. He's our friend. Love him to pieces. So when you talk about things, it's somebody. Maybe it makes me a pussy that she makes me open my mind to things which don't come. That sounds like a.
I'm still lost in the fact that you like cats. It's just that
I love this one cat.
This one cat. Okay.
Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie. I do like cats. I think being white. I mean, again, I'm only speaking for myself.
Yeah.
This is not but I think that we are to some extent boxed into our identities in a different way. That we go, this is who I am as a British person, whatever that, there could be a million different things, but this is me in my box, whatever my box looks like. And having seen myself in London and England through the eyes of Irene, she looks at it as a whole thing. And I go, well, the boxes are taken away, and I can kind of appreciate all the things I have around me without worrying who I'm meant to be within it. Do I like, someone like me likes that?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We've said so much, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore.
I mean, what have you learned about yourself? What has life taught you about yourself?
Sometimes the plan changes, right? And you know what? If you can be enthused, and as I said, in a way, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I've realised that. You think life's not fair. If you do something about it, you watch it change. And I think that's been true. When you're young, something, but it's not fair, they got that, or they got that. And guess what? Only takes time.
Yeah, because we definitely grew up with friends who had people who had.
Yeah, and guess what? What I had wasn't fair for someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you know what? It's always the thing that's just there.
So we have a tradition on Rice Pudding Project, and that is part of these cans. It's called the wild card question. You just have to choose one of these cans, and inside it there's a question that you would need to answer. Okay, choose a can.
And I'll make it easy. Go for the top one.
Thank you. Nice and easy. All right, I'll read it out to you. Okay, how will you end world hunger? Sorry, no. If you could buy a childhood toy now, what would it be?
Oh, if I could buy one, Lego.
Lego?
If I could buy, is there a childhood toy now that I could buy? Lego.
We have Lego.
I know.
You can buy Lego.
Yeah, I know. Oh, what do you mean? Something that's not around. God, I'm not that old.
Huh? Okay, what Lego would you want?
One of those. It's like a wheel with a stick, and you roll it down the street.
No, but you. Fucking hell. But do you remember the other one? There was the stick with the string and the thing, and you'd throw it up and catch it.
Oh, I know what you mean. No, you
can. But what Lego would you want now?
Well, I bought it the other day.
What'd you buy?
I bought a Lego motorbike.
Which one? I'm a big Lego fan.
Okay, so Lego Technics Ducati.
Yes, the red one. Yeah. I have it.
Yeah,
I'll send you a picture of it. It's amazing.
Do you know what? It was, and I loved it because I'm really bad at focusing and finishing things, tedious things.
Okay.
So I went, I really like motorbikes. I'm not allowed a motorbike. My missus said no motorbikes.
Yeah.
But that one I can get.
You can get the chain as well, and it goes around it. Yeah, and it's got a stand.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But
What-
childhood
toy.
I'm trying to think of well, did you used to play marbles at Fox on that grate?
Yeah.
That's like one of the very formative memory of mine, playing marbles on a manhole grate.
So you literally said, "I'm not that old," and then you went marbles. Just fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, we used to play conkers. Remember conkers?
Yeah.
The conker fights.
Oh, I tell you what, the other game, which I'm sure is still played, Money Up. Do you remember Money Up?
No.
Yeah, you must know Money
What's
Up
Money
from
Up?
school. Where you have a pound coin, you have to throw it towards the wall.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it lands there.
Yeah.
And you say chip or nuts, and it was gambling, basically.
No, I didn't know this one.
You didn't play Money Up at school?
No.
Yeah.
No, we would do like the flick. There was when you used to flick
Yeah.
the coins
Yeah,
but
then
on the surface and get closer and like
Closer to the wall?
Yeah, no, like against each other, like knocking it against.
Oh no, we used to play a game called Money Up. So you basically have you're facing a wall, and everyone has a pound coin.
Yeah.
Right? So you throw the pound coin, and
Yeah.
whoever gets closest to the wall
Yeah.
gets the first throw of the stack. And you'd have to choose heads or tails. And you'd throw them all up, and if you choose heads, you get all the heads. If you choose tails, the tails, obviously, right? If you got none of them, you got none. The next person has a go. So it was a game of luck that basically whoever got the closest would go round, and we'd play this. You'd come to school with a pound. I remember I used to get £2 pocket money. So you go to school with £2 and you might end up with 10. Sorry, just
10.
If you were good at
10?
if you were good at throwing.
Oh, we used to go to schools to get like tokens.
Yeah.
The food tokens, the
Yeah.
different coloured ones.
Yeah.
Red, blue, and you get like it had like I don't know, it was worth like 85 pence, and
Yeah.
you get your lunch dinners with it.
Yeah, and obviously someone would always nick her back.
Huh?
Sorry, I went off piece there. It's like Robin Hood. Lunch is on me.
Oh, fucking hell. Listen, mate, it's been great having you on. Great having a chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you.